So today I have my first guest, Faraz Ahmed, who we go a long way back. I've known him for, I don't know, 14, 15, maybe even more years. We connected during high school has gone on to do some amazing and wonderful things. From what I've known about Faraz, he started in marketing. He's gone on to do his own gig and he has his own consultancy as well. So over to you, Faraz. It would be wonderful अगर आप हमारे लोगों को ये बताएं a bit about yourself. And then obviously I'll delve into things that I want to ask you.
Right. First of all, thank you for giving me the honor of being your first guest. I don't want to be going into a lot of detail, seeing both sides of the fence in terms of, the conventional lifestyle of how you approach marketing and brands and everything. We're living in the AI system, so constantly upgrading and constantly trying to learn more. I had another thing that was stand-up comedy. I took it as an experiment. I just thought I'd give it a shot. I thought I was a bit entertaining in my family and friends growing up, so I thought, why not? And when I gave it a shot, I enjoyed it. Gradually, when I did more, I eventually found out, okay, there is some possibility if done right, because eventually it was about me wearing the marketer hat first and understanding that it's a product in the Pakistani market and Karachi to be specific. Right now, the industry is too small. The potential is big, but due to the overall landscape economically and plus availability of resources, I feel that it's still not as sustainable. That was corporate training. I was thrown into it as an opportunity by one of the leading banks in Pakistan. They reached out to me about, doing this happiness and well-being thing because I was a comedian and I did have my corporate background as well. So I could relate with the audience's nuances and, the kind of qualms that exist in the corporate life. So with that, I then eventually started making my own workshops, and the most unconventional sounding names and everything was just creating a hook for me. And that's how, I eventually became this guy who had 3 words to his introduction. So you're a marketeer, you're a comedian, you're a trainer. I was Arish's friend. Apart from that, I'm just someone who likes to, enjoy life. But I think that's the charm of it. And that's how I eventually did everything in life. Didn't really plan it out. I got into it, tried to experiment, try to learn, sometimes fail, did not work out fine, move on, do something else. Harish knows that very well. And she was quite the opposite. So that's how we connected, opposites have a lot to be shared. How do you do it? And she would tell me, I just don't make much of an effort. I tried doing that, didn't work out for me. So the academic route did tell me about experimenting in life, I think that was at the core of everything I was doing because it was constantly reminding myself that there is no fixed formula to doing life. And if you can do it differently, then give it a shot. If you're succeeding, great. If not, so, it's all right. Move on, do something else.
To give yourself more credit for us. As much as he's saying that he wasn't good academically, that's your speaking prowess is also a testament as to where you stand today. But then also, just for the wider audience, guys, we need to give him more credit. He's done his MBA whilst working full time. So eventually you did get there. Don't think school grades anyway are a testament to where we will be at the end.
I think the MBA with work was kind of my redemption of screwing up in my O-levels and A-levels. I would say that it is important for you to pursue a certain forte in whatever field you're studying in, right? And coming from my mouth, it sounds very different to people. Like you of all people are going to tell us about academics. I'm like, yeah, I do, because I did eventually pursue it. This is a very senior teacher who once said this to me during my early MBA days. A lot of people start their MBAs while working, and a lot of them discontinue because the pressure gets to them. When you start it, aim to finish it. And when you finish it, you'll have this comfort and the sense of some achievement when you're going to sleep every day, and you won't have anything incomplete in your mind. And this stuck with me because I felt that anything you do start as a task or whatever you pursue in life, if it's incomplete, you do like have this unsettling feeling with you. I have a lot of credit to give to that guy because there were really hard days during my MBA as well. And I felt that, what am I getting myself into? I don't think I should be doing it. But then kept pushing through, did not really take it as a race. The way that education has to be done very differently. The way that careers have to be thought about are very different now. With each new generation coming up, they're just smarter kids. I mean, when I talk to a 6-year-old right now, I'm like, dude, you're not supposed to know this stuff. Okay, you do know the stuff. Why don't I know it? Continuous learning and continuous unlearning, more than that, is super important. Now, if you want to survive, if you want to grow in whatever pursuit you're going for, you have to do that. पहले तो ये qualified है, experienced है, respect अपनी जगह. I tell people, somebody comes to me, and no offense to anyone who's doing their PhDs in AI or anything, I just tell them, dude, if you're doing a PhD in AI, you do know that AI is going to be much faster than you. So by the time you complete it, you submit your thesis or whatever you have in mind, AI is already beating you to it. So you think twice about थोड़ा बहुत offense to रखना पड़ता है to give people a reality check.
No, you spot on. I think traditional degrees or qualifications now are null and void. I am sure we'll get a lot of hate for this. But to your point, AI is moving so fast that abhi hum forget months. We sleep tonight, in 2 days you'll have another upgrade or another product you'll have to learn
Absolutely.
about.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I just wanted to touch upon something you said earlier. I don't think a lot of people have the guts or the balls to sort of delve into a lot of things, and also, like, you know, I wouldn't call it fail, but not doing well in something, and then a lot of people actually give up. Consistency, discipline, having that courage to keep at it. So, two things I wanted to touch upon with you. One is, you said you're a corporate trainer, so it would be very helpful if you sort of mention what sort of trainings and workshops do you conduct, and how did you go about doing that, and also how did you teach yourself to be a trainer? Because let's face it, right, like, I'm starting this forum, you're more experienced in these domains anyway, and I've spoken a lot. I've worked for 15 years. I present, I've done workshops, but even I'm struggling. So being able to do that, be a good public speaker. So how did
Yeah.
you go about doing that?
So, like I mentioned earlier, that becoming a corporate trainer was not something I had in the books or in the plans. People used to ask me, "What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do?" And usually, you have that at the back of your mind that you want to do something that makes you a lot of money, financial independence, and I think that's your forte now. Mashallah, you're doing so well with that. So, the thing is that uh, I really wasn't sure. And I was like, okay, I hate accounting. So chartered accountancy is really not my area to go to, as much as it makes
And the
a lot of money.
irony to that is, we met in an accounting tuition
Yeah.
school. Like, I
Yeah,
remember
yeah. I made good friends there. People in accounting, I'm good with. The subject itself, not my area to go to. One thing which stuck with me since the beginning was that, I mean, back in school, if I now look back, I used to enjoy debating. And that was my first step to really getting pushed out there. But debating was more like, it was the family's thing that, okay, you have to do this. I mean, if there's like 7 extracurriculars, this is one thing you need to do. And I was okay with conversing with people. I have to give it to the audience that are listening to us, because it's not everyone's, usual route of how you develop your confidence skills. Or in my case, my conversation within the language of English as well. Because to be very honest, yes, I did go to private schools, English medium schools, and English was the mode of conversation in studies. But in general, the thing is that the first 9 years of my life, I was not in Pakistan. I was traveling with my father, who was in the Merchant Navy. And I got to sail a lot in various countries at the time when, we were much easier going in our passport. And now it's a little different. But the thing is, I got a lot of exposure in countries where English was my only medium to survive, right? I went to Thailand, I went to China, I went to Philippines, went to Singapore, pretty much a lot of Southeast Asia. Then, Saudi, UAE and everything, and seeing Dubai, like a child usually going to school is going to develop their skills amongst their peers, playing with them, learning with them, failing with them, and everything is developing over there. But in my case, I was growing up with adults at a much earlier age, right? Because I was the only kid on deck in the ship. So I would not really befriend people as such in that way, but I would observe how they're conducting themselves, how they're going about with people, and if I'm going internationally everywhere. So kids are the last people I was interacting with in any country, because I'm usually going to, if you're going to an ice cream shop to buy ice cream, you're talking to the salesman or the saleswoman standing over there. That small little conversation. Now I'm only able to talk about this now in this way because I look back and I say, okay, where was it that I got that seed of, building on my confidence skills to interact with people and not really have that fear of getting judged. Because if I would have that fear, probably I wouldn't be even 50% of who I am right now, very frankly.
So I think it's the other than speaking to people, what you're trying to tell is it's the exposure side of it, right? Like
Yes,
think about
yes.
it. When you were a child,
Yeah.
though at that stage of our lives, probably 15, 20 odd years ago, a
Mm.
lot of people wouldn't have traveled to these places. It's fairly exotic.
Yeah,
It's now
yeah.
that you hear about people going to China and
Yeah,
whatnot, and
yeah,
we can just
yeah,
hop
yeah,
on a plane.
yeah, yeah. That is an advantage that I had, alhamdulillah, and thanks to my dad for being able to pull this off for us because I used to take my entire school education stuff to the ship and study on deck. I had my hours fixed for studying and then playtime and learning about things in the ocean life and everything. But then I'd look forward to reaching to some port, right? Because as much as I enjoyed the sea, I would be excited to get to a new place and, just interact with people. So people interaction was something I always enjoyed as a kid. This is what I was getting to because that stayed with me. And when I got to my O levels time and, people said, what do you want to do? I said, any work that requires a lot of people interaction. This is what I used to think of. And it was nothing to do with the money. Obviously, people do, want to make a living, but I wasn't too sure at that time. And as much as I had a conventional study route in terms of going to business school and pursuing a business degree, deep inside I always wanted to do something as an artist. In Karachi, there's this famous art school, IDS, Indus Valley. Doing communication design, maybe architecture. Not too sure at that time, but that was something which I felt was a very relatable thing because I had some friends and cousins and people in family who were going there in different programs, and I saw that this is one thing which I might be able to do. And at this time, media sciences or filmmaking and everything didn't really have that kind of space in Pakistan the way it has now. So, interestingly, what happened is that I got into a field where I got the best of everything I wanted to do. Interacting with a lot of
I
people.
think not many people can say that for us.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah. I mean, I was blessed, like I say, that I slipped into things, but then I took it as a blessing. If you decide this is an opportunity, then you put your heart into it, you put your grind into it. But if it's not, then you're like, oh, blah. So, I mean, somebody years ago asked me, would you like to work for an NGO? I said it totally depends on what the challenge is. And this is one more thing that I also thank the industry that I started with. So advertising, I think the good thing that happened for me in advertising was that it trains you to push yourself to the most extreme that you can think of and still be able to breathe and still be able to think.
How does it push you? I think just so people can actually get an understanding, how did it push you to be where you are today?
Okay, so the first thing is that when it pushes you to a completely non-conforming routine, let's say if you're going out to step out to work, most of the people in a job routine would think, 9 to 5. Okay, 9 to 5 sounds a little old school. 9 to 7, right? Or 10 to 6 or 10 to 7, depending on flexibilities. Advertising first breaks you. The first break that it does is that there's a starting time, there is no ending time. That's the first thing that it does to you, right? Now, initially, it will become a struggle for you because you're like, oh, I need my work life balance. I need to come back to my family, friends. I need to relax. I need to do I need to do my time as well, right? First compromise that you make in order to really get it to the grind, because advertising by default as a function is such that you really can't do a 9 to 5. The reason is it's when you understand the industry, it's a service driven industry, right? And when you have a ton of clients working with you, so you have limited resources who are, doing multi hatting for various clients. So like I tell people, my average day in advertising days would be like सुबह को मैं तेल बेच रहा हूँ, दोपहर को मैं बैंक बेच रहा हूँ, रात को मैं डायपर बेच रहा हूँ, और फिर रात late night.
Con artist.
So I mean, now that I talk about
You
it,
sound like a broker, like a property broker.
so I mean, in a way, अगर देखा जाए, yes, it's a nice parallel now that you mention it. But yeah, because advertising का यही है. When I got into the field, so on a lighter note, we used to joke about, oh, we sell things to people they don't need.
I think the whole world, half of the world is functioning by selling
let's see
us
what the
things we don't need.
humanity needs. Let's create a disease and let's create a medicine for it.
And it's not give them a proper medicine, FYI. Just
there
give
has
them
to
a
be
medicine which they keep
follow-on
buying.
tail. There's a follow-on tail, and then we're going to help addicts by giving them another medicine they're going to get
addicted to.
Right.
And then we send them to rehabs for that as well and make more money.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
how the world works.
So then I felt less guilty about being in advertising. First pressure is to break you in this way, right? The next is
Hmm.
your brain available more than that you can chew on, right? Like, for example, if you feel, okay, this is my 2 hour window in which I need my break, and then I'm going to fully grind myself in that there might be 15-minute breaks, there might be half an hour breaks, might be days that are a little lighter on you. I won't exaggerate too much, but on general, you're on your toes and you have to keep your calm, you have to be focused.
And that constant brain use, the constant brain use part, right? I think that also starts affecting your physical health and your nervous system,
It
right?
does. It
After
does.
years in.
And your mental health does get challenged. And that's the next thing I was getting to. Because first, it's you breaking your psychological routine thing. Okay, that's broken. Now what? Your health, physically and mentally, both start getting compromised. So that is the downside of it, which I don't like glorify at all to people. I tell people it is what it is. I call a spade a spade. It made that principle a lot more concrete, which is why, alhamdulillah, that when I started doing my own thing, I would call a spade a spade. I will not really bother about that you're a CEO or you're a junior manager, because the fact will stay the same.
And this is something that a lot of people need to hear. Basically, after living abroad, I feel it's harder to do that in a place like Pakistan where classism or inequality or positions or ranks are pushed on us.
Yeah.
The Setia culture is so big in the corporate world as well. Sir, ma'am, what have you. Calling a spade to somebody who is a CEO perhaps, or somebody more senior or somebody more politically privileged,
Yeah.
it's hard.
It's hard, and that's why I have not been able to secure a lot of work as well, but I'm okay with it. I sleep contentfully. That's in different industries and different levels as well. So while we're talking about, the senior management levels and, Satya culture and everything, people do feel that, oh, once you're in a senior position, then life is sorted. That's not the case. And when we were juniors, we were told the same. And I do understand it a lot more closely now, because accountability kicks in a lot harder as you go up the ladder, right? So first you were just accountable for yourself and maybe probably one or two people in your team. But now, as soon as you go up the ladder and made it, there's a reason why they're taking the most number of drugs. I mean, one more thing that it gave me as an advantage was continuously keeping your hat on for observing things around you as a marketeer, and understanding brands and products and why what's happening is happening, right? That's one more reason why I pushed myself to do something else as well, because I didn't want to just get tagged on one thing. And I think eventually, fast forward to when I was doing stand up, that you can be, a jack of all of what you're doing, and be master of all is not the word I use, but you could be great or good at all of.
Honest, I feel like calling ourselves master of anything is tooting your own horn, right?
I just say master of fun, because fun is at the center of everything. So jack of all, master of fun is what I have been saying about myself since the last decade, because everything I do has fun in it. So
I think civic sense generally for us is lacking in people, right? I think that's that the lack of awareness is unfortunately shocking. Now, when I come back after having lived away for quite a few years,
yeah,
Digo, when I was growing up in the system, we knew it was flawed. We just didn't know how flawed it was. And then over the years, a lot of the educated, literate people have been pushed out of the country for economic reasons. So the downhill trajectory has been worse. Schools may we're only teaching kids the basic traditional subjects. We're not teaching them civic sense, etiquette, how to conduct ourselves, what is the learning point, how to go about it. And I think that is one of the biggest reasons people have been comfortable calling you as a trainer or to conduct workshops or for you to do your comedy sessions with solely ladies' nights.
yeah.
And then let's face it, for us, how often have you applied algebra in real life? How often have you done your credit, debits, and T account? That's not what we do in real
I go
life,
way back.
right?
I have one of my jokes that I do is math. Right. So a judge, they say, can he do multiplication and division? How many tables do you know?
Or how much geometry box I can use to create circles and concentric circles and
I mean,
compass? What? सोचो कितनी इन्वेस्टमेंट करी है, कभी यूज किया ज्योमेट्री बॉक्स उसके बाद?
I mean, मेरा ये होता था entirety of algebra. I have not,
Hmm.
I have yet to see algebraic application in my real life since I got out of college or school. उसका क्या करूं मैं?
It's true.
Chemistry में reactivity series. Okay, whoever wanted to pursue chemistry as a degree further on, do their PhDs and something, I'd get it. Makes sense to them. But वो फिर आपको याद आता है कि यार ये सारे कोर्सेज जो आपने पढ़े हैं इन योर स्कूल लाइफ, ऑब्वियसली एज अ सब्जेक्ट आई डू अंडरस्टैंड कि दे वुड नीड दैट काइंड ऑफ डिटेलिंग इन देयर, बट फिर आप ये सोचते हैं कि अच्छा मैंने करा, इसमें से सीखा क्या था? लाइक फिजिक्स आई स्टिल
Think about it. मुझे लगता है कि अगर उसमें they would have let us do financial management, या life skills coaching, or how to navigate our thoughts. I think we've ended up producing a lot of anxious people who can't manage their own emotions or their normal life. We're not functional human beings when we're churned out of school or college.
I think, and so rightly put, that there is an entire generation of people who are far more anxious because we were trained that way. The constant competition seated in your mind was more for, because if you don't do this, you're going to fail in life, right? And of course, if
Yeah.
you're going to fail in your grades or you get bad in your education at any point in time, by default, you will go into a depressive state. And it comes from home. Nobody else does it for you. Your peers are the second people. The home is the first place, right? But some homes, out of maybe hundreds of people or thousands of people, very few would be like, child, go and study what you feel like. Do whatever you want. It's your life. And they won't pressurize much. And I've seen those people have evolved to be far better people in society, as well as their families, as well as their workplaces, everywhere, right? But they're still far more sorted here.
Financial, well, independence has been there. Maybe they don't have tons of money, and maybe some do. Some have done exceptionally well. But as a middle class student or as a middle class person, how much stress or how much importance money had as part of your decision making in terms of your career where you ended up? I believe, especially in the society we grow up in, South Asian culture.
I'm not. I mean, now, the current economy and the global scenario that we are in, I think there's a double-edged sword. हमारी economy में अब जो हाल है and globally भी जो हाल चल रहा है, so there's a double impact, like I said, double-edged sword चल रही है. So of के, by the law of economics and by the law of inflation, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, and the middle class, अगर वो ऊपर थे वो नीचे जा रहे हैं, something like that. But the thing is कि now even the rich, उनकी ठीक-ठाक बैग हुई भी है, because the fact is that you can only survive on a fund for so much. और अब मैं अगर देखता हूँ Naresh, so growing up in Pakistan, there's so many businesses that I saw at the time of, like, let's say pick up the 90s. Growing up, you knew about certain candies or certain biscuits. Those industries are nowhere right now. Like, they shut down.
Yeah.
I think the audience knows this sitting in Pakistan as well as we got
Yeah,
expats as well. So everyone knows the Kokomo joke, right? Like, oh, Kokomo पहले बहुत आते थे, अब 5 Kokomo होते हैं, thanks to Mr. Mr. Ismail. But it's not just thanks to him, it's thanks to everything around him. Understand the ecosystem, right? And I tell people that if you see any business shrinking in their product size, or the quality is dicing around, it's not the same. So I guarantee you the next 5 years, that is either not going to be there at all, or they might just come back with a bigger bang.
A lot of these items, nostalgically, जो हमारे around थे, for example, ice cream, that's disappeared.
Polka.
Like, Polka was a Pakistani brand, Pakistani identity of something we grew up with, right? Nowhere to be seen. And to your point, other than like companies shrinking, but when you said that, being rich or having trust fund money is not going a long way, that's very true, because trust fund money aaj ke zamane mein is not getting you anything. Like, look at the cost of living or the cost of basics. Think about your father's time. On one salary, he could probably provide for a couple of houses.
Yes. Everything that comes out of chaos is the most creative. Like, नहीं देखो, पैसे जिनके बनने थे वो बनाए हैं.
There's more avenues. There's more options. You can become an overnight sensation or star per your own terms,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. टाइम पे हमारे पेरेंट्स के टाइम पे जब होता था, it was a very different culture overall. Like corporate culture was much different as well. Yes, there was competition. Yes, they had their own struggles in that economy, that inflation and everything. ठीक है, उसमें पेट्रोल की प्राइस डिफरेंट थी, हर चीज डिफरेंट थी, बट उसमें भी सिंगल इनकम हाउस में मतलब आपकी ठीक ठाक रखा. बट because people were doing the basics, not every family would go for a
Simplest things
vacation.
would bring you happiness.
Basics में contentment hona, that generation itself had one big advantage. And I think if that mindset now
Yeah.
comes into this generation right now, including ours, like जो millennial parents बन चुके हैं, and sustainable living और ये सब चीजों की बातें हो रही हैं. If you look back at our childhood, we were practically living that time. You did not have much of technology. With technology, what has happened is that we have more exposure.
Falls to it. Like अब देखो स्कूल से निकले नहीं होते. Like they have no understanding of the world. आके they're giving you life advice. In front of the rented Ferrari, people will be like, "Oh, I'm an expert at this." So there's that noise that people are not even able to check out.
एक और चीज ये हो गई ना कि when you have this, what we're talking in front of right now, our phones, everyone's got too much of it, and it's a free for all, right? So जब आप कह रहे हो ना कि आपके पास access हो गया, it's so easy to become an overnight sensation. So I mean, if you look at the landscape of TikTok in Pakistan, you will be surprised कि यार किस किस तरह के लोग और किस तरह की creativity दिमाग में, because हमारे वो उनकी तुम लोग हरकतें देख लो तो they are far ahead of us in using their brain. मतलब भले अब बात
That's
हुई है कि
true.
it's subjective to what we call chichora or we call amazing or viral, but I mean that is what it is, right? तो एक मिसाल है, ये इसी पाकिस्तान से लोग निकला है ना, वो सारे लोगों के पास अब एक्सेस आ गया. मे बी देयर प्रीवियस जनरेशंस आल्सो हैड अ लॉट ऑफ टैलेंट, बट बिकॉज यू डिड नॉट हैव मच एवेन्यू टू शोकेस इट, तो वो क्या करेंगे, छोटे से एक जगह पे तुम वो मेला लगेगा, वहाँ थोड़ा सा कुछ कर लेंगे, अपना तमाशा तो तमाशा ही खिलाते थे ना, तमाशा वो लोकल इंस्ट्रूमेंट से बनाए हुए उन्होंने वो कर रहे हैं. सो दीस आर स्मॉल लिटिल थिंग्स. इसलिए लोगों की उस वक्त माइंडसेट में ये था कि भाई ये तो ऐसे ही है, इसमें कुछ कमा नहीं सकते. But now you're living in an age where the conventional businesses or the most mainstream businesses in the past are struggling a lot more. And when I said coming back to I am that generation who can then educate people about how they can improve themselves on not relying too much on the technology, because the financial independence का just idea है in most people's minds at least. And I mean, you're a specialist of this, definitely elaborate differently, but people would say that the financial independence means that every day you wake up, you're not lying with the stress, seeing a stress of how you're going to survive.
I feel like people who in their head feel that they've done it in life or they're of a certain financial caliber or standing now, I feel like they upgrade their expenses also in a way that they still keep investing into liabilities के एंड में उनकी भी फाइनेंशियल एंजाइटी वैसी हो गई है. फेज 8 में आ गए. इवन इफ इट्स द फर्स्ट हाउस यू आर बाइंग एंड यू डोंट हैव जनरेशनल वेल्थ, या आप वहाँ रेंट, कुछ लोग मैंने देखा जस्ट टू शो द वर्ल्ड दे रेंट आउट अ पोर्शन एंड जस्ट DHA comes with a lot of rent, and then they keep adding to their financial anxieties. And then
very true. Now, coming from experiences in life, I tried. So yes, you could be smart about picking on, let's say, the experiences of others.
lived experiences,
Yeah,
they always teach you a
the
lot.
plunges are important because they mold you as a person, right? So if you've been successful in whatever you've done, it's gonna get more scary, because the day that you take a small hit, it's really deep to you. It'll be small, right? So it's better कि वो कहते हैं ना, life एक waves में तो अच्छा है, like you have, and when you start taking that case, and I think over years I started absorbing it more positively, because initially when you're talking about toxic environments and everything, उसमें से coming out of it took a lot of pushing, a lot of courage, and just sitting with myself and getting reminded of why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? So what just Simon Sinek कहता है ना, start with the why. I think way before I read, I had understood that the why is important. And if you feel the why is not there anymore, there will be instances in life you're doing something and you're doing it for a certain, and till then it was relevant for you. And after that, either one of you became irrelevant. Either that, I mean, I know so many people who were brilliant public speakers, they just decided to let go of it. Because when I look back at our Islamic history and pick up all the prophets, and one prophet, except one prophet, every prophet had an extremely struggling life in general. ठीक है? So Hazrat Sulaiman,
way worse than we
Hazrat
can
Sulaiman
imagine.
is one of them who, by the way, is quoted in a different he asked for this world, and he was given all the he was the one who could talk to animals. He was the one who was blessed with all the riches, but his wife able to talk about it in the audiences. Okay, his wife was that whatever you bless me with, Allah, I will spend for your people and for building your people and
That's what we've forgotten, Faraz.
your creation. So he was technically thinking the same thing that Robin Williams was saying, like making parallels here, but I'm saying that is understanding life as humans, right? And once you know that, then your struggle becomes much smaller. And the more about okay, in the biggest universe, and like you has this little thing inside, and that dude, it wasn't that big a deal. And also understand that everything is a phase. On a lighter note, when something new comes by, so we just look up and I'll be like, really?
Yes, यही था.
नहीं, नहीं.